Call the meeting to order. We'll start with just
Recording
roll
in
call. McKee
progress.
here, Schultz.
Here.
Bottoма.
Present.
Barankamp.
Here.
Nichols. Here. Okay, so we'll go right into Mark, if you want to take the lead here and go from there.
Microphone, or can people hear me okay, or?
Probably microphone, otherwise it doesn't get picked up on the recording.
All right.
I might have to get a battery for that one, let me see.
Still think one of those overhead mics would be perfect there.
I'll start off, if that's okay, while we're waiting?
Yeah.
Sure. My name is Mark Casey with David Drown Associates, and I'm assisting you with your search for your next city administrator. So thank you for this opportunity. This evening, we'll be looking at taking the pool of semifinalists and moving them into finalists. So shortly, I'll be asking each of you to give me your top 4 candidates, and we'll kind of work through a nominal ranked choice process to be able to get down to who you'd like to bring in for a live interview. We had, the position was advertised on January 17th, and it was advertised and closed to February 14th. We had 22 applicants, and based on their education and experience, we had 12 of them that were listed as semifinalists. The semifinalists then partook in an information disclosure, a video interview, and a work personality index. And you also had an opportunity to see their cover letter and their resume. We did have one candidate drop out. This candidate did actually get another job in another Minnesota city throughout this process. So in front of you is the 11 semifinalists. As we mentioned in the past, these names are confidential. Once the candidate becomes a finalist, and at that point, they're public information. So we just ask that you just refer to the number assigned in the sheet and not try to identify the candidate at all with a characteristic of a city or even gender. So we sure appreciate if we can work through that process. When we are done here, we can have a discussion, if the council so chooses, to talk about anything about reimbursements for travel. Once we know who the finalists are, I'll be able to tell you how far they'll be coming from, their most likely where they'll be living from, to see if that is something of interest. Every council is different. Some do, some don't, so whatever you feel you wish to do as a council. At the end, once we know our number of finalists, we can talk briefly about the interview process and make sure that we're all on the same page as we put together a draft schedule for you to review. Also work on draft interview questions and some other things throughout this entire process. Getting to real quickly here, but when those that become a finalist, then the next step of their process, they will do, we'll do a background check. We work with a group called America Data Bank. It's a national reputable background checking outfit that works throughout the United States. Each finalist will have a criminal background check. They'll check the sex offender registry, social security registry, employment and education verification, and a credit check. So you'll see a summary of all that information. I will personally do the referencing, and you'll see a summary of the references that will be done. And also, each candidate will do an intellectual profile that looks at their overall mental aptitude. So you have all this information available to you approximately a week before the interviews, along with the previous information that you had in the profile with the personality index. If you would still like to look at the video interview again, the resume and cover letter, and your information disclosure. So all that information will be in each candidate's profile, and you'll have approximately, once again, about a week before the interview, you have an opportunity to review that information. The interviews are scheduled for Friday, March 25th. And once again, we can maybe talk about that at the end once you do have your candidates. So what I'd like to be able to do is work my way down the dais here, and then if folks can tell me who your top 4 that you'd like to see coming in for a live interview, and then we'll start eliminating folks, and eventually we'll get to a point that you feel comfortable on who you'd like to bring in for a live interview. Before I go any further, does anybody have any questions?
We're all set?
Alrighty. So, Councilman Nichols, would you give me?
3.
3? And then, do you have other, do we want to do all 4 of yours?
I don't have 4, I only have 3.
Oh, you have 3 of them, okay.
So 3 was my first choice.
Yep.
And then the next 2 I would consider a tie, 2 and 6.
Thank you.
8, 4, 2, and then 3.
All right.
3, 4, 6, 8. Number 9, number 7, number 4, and number 11.
Okay, 3, 4, 8, and 11.
So for totals, just going to repeat, candidate number 2 had 2 votes. Candidate number 3 had 4 votes. Candidate number 4 had 4 votes. Candidate number 6 had 2 votes. Candidate number 7 had 1 vote. Candidate number 8 had 3 votes. Candidate number 9 had 1 vote. And candidate number 11 had 2 votes. So we can automatically eliminate candidate number 1, 5, 10, and 12. 3 and 4 had the top votes, top 2 of each 4 each. So does council feel comfortable at this point in time bringing 3 and 4 along?
Could you repeat the ones that were eliminated, please?
Absolutely. 1, 5, 10, and 12.
Okay, 12 wasn't on our list anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was because we had 12 candidates. I apologize. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll repeat that. 1, 5, and 10 were eliminated. The annual vote. Then if we look at the first place votes, would be 3 and 4, each had 4 votes. Would the council feel comfortable adding that to the people coming in as interviewees? And we can find more, but I just want to make sure we have some consensus around 3 and 4.
Thanks. Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
But Mayor, I would first, anybody object to candidates 3 or 4 coming in for final interviews?
No objection on 3. I had some concerns about 4 based on profile, but I'm willing to certainly talk to the person.
Okay. Any other potential objections? So we got 3 and 4. Then after that, candidate number 8 had 3 votes.
Again, I'm willing to talk to that one. Looking at the cover letter, I feel like the writing is weak and doesn't speak well to attention to detail. But I'm willing to consider it.
Yeah, 8 was actually low on my ranked score, number 8. But I'm willing to talk to him too.
So if I hear it, we have potentially number 8 at this point in time could be included on the coming in for a finalist?
Yes, let's,
Or do you want to talk
Put
to
them in
the
a
others?
proposed.
yeah, put it maybe in the maybe pile and
Sure.
get the rest of the list through and then we can tackle
How
those.
about we do this? We only have 1 vote for candidate number 9. How do folks do? Folks want to have that person want to go from the other end of it and eliminate number 9, or that person that voted for number 9? I guess it'd be the opportunity to.
Sure, I have the right candidate. Bear with me 1 second, because I had number 9 as ranked my highest. Yeah, I had 9 ranked my highest.
Okay, we'll hold on to that for a second. How about candidate number 7? That one had 1 vote. Any objections to eliminating candidate number 7? Okay. 7 is off. Candidate 2 had 2 votes, along with candidate number 6 had 2 votes. Candidate number 11 had 2 votes.
Candidate 2 is my weakest person.
You're the weakest of the 4 that you gave?
They were the weakest of my whole pool.
Oh, okay,
to be
gotcha,
honest with you.
gotcha.
Candidate 2 mentioned shopping and dining frequently in our city, which we have no shopping opportunities here. And we also, I suspect that that dining part wasn't true either. And I think it's a huge red flag for me, not understanding where our town is or what amenities we have here. And also to make a false, it has to be a false statement. No one meets their friends and shops in Corcoran. And it really bugs me that they would put that in a cover letter. Cover letter is like the very first thing that you write when applying. And I'm not sure how somebody that really wants a job can say that. So for me, I thought a lot of that candidate was good, but then that part is really bad.
I keep going back, and I'm speaking out of turn, let me know, guys. I was expecting something more out of these people. I just, they're all candidates, but when, I can't remember which one of us said, we're looking for a CEO of our city. And I just don't see any of these people at that level. Well, we've got it almost down to 4 or 5 people and stuff. Is this what we were looking for? To John's point, you can pick out a lot of things on each and every one of their video interviews, their cover letter, their resume that just doesn't seem right in my mind either. So
Yeah.
I'm fine with continuing on, but is there better people out there? More experienced is my number one thing. I don't see a lot in the city administrator role as the experience that I was hoping to see out of this. And no fault to you at all, I'm just speaking my piece, my mind.
I think a lot of people had experience, whether it was directly relevant to the position that they're applying for, was somewhat questionable in some cases.
Good point.
Some of the people's videos, you could tell that they basically read our webpage or read the brochure for the job posting and tailored their answers to that versus giving specific questions of what are you most proud of what you've done, or, why do you want this job? It didn't seem like some of them were really, like you said, into it.
They didn't dig very deep. They didn't research much, which I was
Yeah.
hoping I would have seen more of.
But I think there's good people in this pool. I mean, there's definitely people that have more education and more experience than others in here. And for some of my people, they may have rated high in experience and education and very low in their video interview, or vice versa. So I don't know that we have to in my personal opinion, throw the whole pool out. I think there's people in here, but there could have been better, but that's just the nature of probably the job market too.
True. In that final round of 4, we'll weed that out to the point of, do we have a candidate or do we not have a candidate?
Yeah.
I had
True.
similar concerns to you, Dean. I feel like, I think I said this when we decided to open this process. We've got a really strong staff now. The worst thing we can do is mess it up. So I was looking for extraordinary candidates who would have massive upside. I didn't see that in the pool. I saw competent people, but with even competent people comes a lot of risk of the things that you don't know, and how personalities will mesh. So I'm not thrilled with the pool either. I'm fine proceeding. I also like the status quo quite a bit. So I see a potential for continuing what we have. I think that wouldn't be a bad thing. I don't see earth-shattering levels of improvement or upgrades with the pool that we have. If we feel like we need that as a city, we should revisit the posting and maybe change the range or draw off a bigger pool somehow. That's kind of where I'm at.
Well said.
Yeah, I mean, I felt there was, well, we all had probably ranked different ones, but I felt there's two people that I would really like to interview that I thought would add value to the city based on their experience. There's definitely people in here that have a lot more experience than others, indirect experience. Some gave some pretty good examples of the things they've done, you know, and some people's examples were just the nature of their area too, right? So,
So the very first thing I did when I got the profiles is I watched the why do you want to work in Corcoran? It was question number 5.
That's the first thing I looked at too.
And there are two things that I think stuck out for me is multiple people did not answer the question. They never said why they wanted to work in Corcoran. And I was contemplating why I moved to Corcoran, intentionally chose the town. And so a lot of people said why we should hire them in their why they want to work in Corcoran. And so my list got chopped in half because a lot of people didn't answer the question. They didn't say why they wanted to work here. So I wasn't going to make the case of why we should hire them if they themselves couldn't make the case of why they wanted to work here. So that to me was an easy slice. One missing thing, I think, too, of understanding the area, like there were people that assumed we wanted growth.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys want growth. I fit the profile because look at what I've done for growth, and I think that's misreading the situation too. You shouldn't, I guess, we have it. It doesn't mean that the 5 of us are out courting land developers and
Right.
saying, come to our town.
yeah.
This is more for next time, because so none of the people that I ended up with could articulate why they wanted to work here and had rationale for that. And then, it was like, the next thing was looking at their experiences and looking at, what their opinion was on what it is we tried to do.
Yeah.
And
some of them I felt were just job hopping. You know, you look at them, they've only been here for 2 years and then they jumped somewhere else. And then they may even jump back or they've jumped somewhere else. You know, I would like to get somebody
Planning on being here for a while.
that's going to plan on being here for a while, that's not looking at this as the next step to the next
Right,
bigger job.
for sure.
if you two don't like the candidate pool, you can always you can make a motion to postpone this process for 6 months or a year or whatever. I'm not suggesting you do it, but an action we could do is postpone it.
My biggest thing was I was hoping that 2 or 3 of them would have dug into what's going on. You have a downtown plan, you have a plan, you have a vision, you have these things. I think I could help you with that vision. I've experienced this in my previous places. I didn't hear that, I didn't see that, and I just,
I hear you.
you know, Jeremy said it, I think we've got 2 probably that we could have a conversation with and such, but I gotta see, in my mind, I gotta see the level of commitment, the level of digging into and researching our city.
And creativity.
And that
And what they do
openness
with it.
about, what would you do with that open canvas of Corcoran? I mean, that's what we've got, and we've got a mindset, we've got our comp plan, we've got
We
this stuff.
the city
what
administrator's
would-
job is not to tell us what they would do with the canvas of, of Corcoran. Their job is to
Do what we
have.
open for.
That our job is to go to the voters and say, this is how we think Corcoran should operate, or the canvas, or whatever. Or no canvas, or whatever our ideas are that we get elected to do. The admin's job is to carry that out. The admin's job,
But I'd still
should
like
not
to-
have
I'd still
May I
like,
clarify?
I'd still like some
When I
input
said
back.
creativity, I didn't mean what should the vision be.
no, he
I
did
know.
though. I'm just saying, like, I don't want him to have a
No, but
paintbrush
I
on.
want them to listen to us, yes, number one. Listen to our community through us, if that's the way. And I think there's a ton of people that are gonna talk to them and bring their suggestions through this administrator to us. This is what these people are thinking, these are what these people, I want that open communication between them and us. And that creativity side of, how do we do this? How can I help you as council members, as you as the mayor, come up with your vision? How can I help? That's where I was more going. I need to speak better about it. But I just, I don't want an administrator saying this is what we're gonna do. We have our vision, we have our we have our comp plan. We've got a downtown thought in process right now. How can that city administrator help us execute on that?
And I think adding to that, Dean, where there's a great role for the city administrator is translating the vision and figuring out what mechanisms, what code, what systems are going to lead to that vision. And we've spent 2021 doing a lot of talk about code and how we want the city to develop. We just did a pretty deep dive on, code changes and PUDs in our last joint session with the Planning Commission and Parks Commission. So there's tons of material for candidates to look at to figure out what's important to the council. I'd like to see some proposals. How would you take that vision and help make it more likely to come true?
Won't that come in the next round?
Yeah.
Probably.
So, like, I would
I'm
expect.
trying to plan for the next time they come from.
I appreciate that, yeah. We just have to figure out which people are coming in front of us.
Yeah.
Was there 2 more people you didn't mention? I counted, we talked about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
Wasn't there 7 still?
Yep, so we didn't talk at all about, so candidate 2 had 2 votes, and then candidate 6 also had 2 votes.
I noticed the same thing you did, John, on 2. I did list 2. I assumed that was just a carryover cover letter and they left something in from a previous application. But
And that, I thought maybe 2, but I don't think that's a small deal.
Yeah.
Attention to detail.
The details, right.
And that's, I don't know.
So I think we can maybe all agree on eliminating candidate 2.
Yeah, for me.
Okay.
Well, Jeremy, I don't know, you,
I'm fine with that.
How about candidate number 6?
6 was very low on my score, too.
Yeah, same.
I would like to, what was, since I listed 6 as a positive. And, but how many votes did 6 get? 2?
2.
I didn't think 6 had a whole lot of experience. I mean, he was at he held 2 different administrative roles, but they weren't very long.
Right.
And then beyond that, he didn't have much experience.
And kind of the potential job hopping thing that you mentioned earlier, Alan.
Yeah, and that person didn't have any advanced education where others did.
I'm okay not doing 6, not including 6 in the next one.
Okay. So what we have left now would be 3, 4, 8, 9, and 11. Who's not been eliminated. And I'm saying candidate 9, it just had 1 vote, 11 had 2 votes.
Wait. So 3, 4,
8, 9, and 11.
Right. So if you work our way down, 9 had 1 vote and 11 had 2 votes. And 8 had 3 votes.
I had 9. No, wait a minute. No, I didn't. Never mind.
I had 9 ranked high because he had quite a bit of experience. He had quite a bit of experience. I thought that person answered the questions well. And they had the same amount of education as all the ones with the highest level of education.
I think there were some work history things with that one that were a concern for me. With duration in different places, job hopping a bit, and there were some items in the disclosure that were concerning as well.
In the character disclosure,
I think that was that one.
which one is that?
I'm not sure how I can say that.
No, which, you can say a number.
9.
9.
I guess I never, to be honest with you, I didn't put any stock in those disclosures, or, what do you call that?
Information disclosures?
Well, the ones, you did like an assessment, right, of,
No, actually, the information disclosure
Oh.
would be something that the candidate wished to bring forward
Oh.
if they,
It was like a text box above.
Yeah.
Maybe just take a peek at that.
Responses.
yeah, let me take a peek at that.
Which one is that? 9?
Yes.
Make sure your volume's down low in case anyone starts accidentally playing. No, I don't think the disclosure was one on that.
That wasn't that one?
No,
Doesn't
that
look
was,
like it.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
What number was that? Just so I can,
Or were they already eliminated?
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, then never mind.
I mean, this person did a career change. I grant that, but after the career change, this person had quite a bit of experience.
And the other two that we're talking about are number 11 and 8.
correct, yeah. number 8 had 3 votes.
So, okay. Well, worst case, we're at 5 there, which is doable if need be,
Wait, with what?
with 3, 4,
3, 4.
11, 8, and 9. The rest have been eliminated, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
On 11, I see 10 jobs, or lots and lots of jobs in a short amount of time.
Yeah. 11 was in my top 4, but I can tell you there, he was the bottom of my top 4.
And there
Yeah, and
was,
same here.
there's a public, there was,
Oh, that person provided disclosure.
Number 11.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That one didn't concern me as much in terms of the disclosures.
Yeah, now that I read it, it doesn't.
Were you gonna say something, John, though, I think on one of them?
I want to see if this is in part of the public, or in the, can you show me the disclosure? My,
For 11?
The one I was concerned about was
Oh, this
10,
one.
not 9, sorry.
yeah,
Sorry, been eliminated.
the only,
I would be okay with 9. Being in the next round.
Okay. And you said 9 had 3 votes initially?
9 had 1
I
vote.
had one.
Oh, opposite.
It was
of that.
8 that had 3.
8 had 3. Okay,
We should really do letters.
yeah.
I didn't rank 8 as high on experience and education.
It was, yeah, a little different, I guess.
Should have had printed copies of all this.
I know, 9 didn't get out of the box for me on why they wanted to work here.
Yeah, I'm frankly on the fence about all 3. I would be okay interviewing them. I would be okay if we didn't.
Which ones?
For all 3 that we're discussing right now, 8, 9, and 11. I could go either way.
I'd like to hear from 9. Maybe that person can articulate better than that person didn't interview. I mean, they all may articulate way better than what they did.
Yeah.
Video interview, you know. You only have 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer a question.
Right.
How much time do they have to prepare their answer?
1 minute.
Minute.
Okay, so they get a minute of silence to think, and then they answer. Okay.
Right.
So if we want to get to a target of 4,
And that sure doesn't, Mr. Mayor, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Right.
In a number. I mean, that's.
gotcha. I mean, yeah, I guess those are the different options. We have a list of 5 between clear yeses and maybes. Do we throw everyone at it and see who performs best in person in that next step? Or do we
Cut it off at 3.
I,
cut it off at 3?
I would advocate against having 11.
Number 11?
Against having
Yes.
11. Okay.
I have, I could share public-private data,
Okay.
and I'm prepared to share that with the group. And we can discuss it publicly.
Gotcha.
I'm fine without number
Yeah.
11, so.
I trust you that if it's a big enough red flag to catch your eye, that works for me. And eliminate, so take 11 off of it,
Okay.
unless Dean and Jeremy have,
No issues.
so now we're down to 4. Yes, do we want to include 8 and 9? Do we want to include just one of them?
I think 4 candidates is a good pool.
I'm okay with that, too.
Okay, so 3, 4, 8, and 9 is our 4 candidates?
My only concern on 8, I'm fine talking to 4 instead of 3, but I'd like to just double check that cover letter and see if that would meet your standards.
Number 8,
Yeah.
8 was a lower ranked person for me.
Yeah, I'd say he's more of a unknown, different background, different maybe areas of strength or weakness. But if we're looking to, get a sense of each of the candidates at this next final stage, I'd be fine hearing from them. Maybe what seems unconventional and kind of turns you off initially from it, maybe being a benefit, or maybe we're on the right track and it's a no, but we'll know that for sure once we come in.
yeah, I'm curious about it, about what you don't like about it.
To me, it was just a lot of run-on sentences
Okay, yeah.
and inability to be concise and clear.
There's a lot of commas.
It's true.
I mean, it's not like the Declaration of Independence where the first sentence is like 3 paragraphs long, but it's of that.
Are you critiquing the writers of the
You just took a jab
Declaration
at
You're lucky they're not alive.
1775.
I was on Hamilton's side, sorry.
No.
So I guess the alternative would be just 3, 4.
Well, a lot of people didn't like him, so like that, I'm not gonna die on a hill for that candidate.
For 8?
Yeah,
Was he on your list?
he was,
Okay.
but he was low on Alan and Jeremy's.
And he was in my 4, but he was low on that. Low of the ones selected.
And what messes it all up, he was one of my top 2, but I'm not
Gotcha.
gonna throw myself on a grenade for any of them.
I think you've made that clear already.
I'm sorry, I really hope the next step, somebody steps up and,
I hear you.
You're gonna be taking applications at the door, aren't you?
no, I don't wanna get into that. I want somebody to help us get to where we wanna go, but I think it's been a long time that someone has listened to this as a group and some of our city residents and stuff like that to help guide us a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
I wanted to see more or two of, I have found money that, some special place. I mean, we've seen it out of our staff right now of where they've found grants and those kind of things. That's the stuff that I was hoping to
Yeah.
find. We can do this if we go this way, and in past experiences and stuff, I was expecting somebody, hey, sewer, water, all of this stuff, you know, fire stations, all these things, just something that could help guide us in a way that we can get to where we want.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah,
can I add a comment?
sure.
I think, you know, what you guys are seeing from the candidate pool is something that we have a lot of experience with at the staff level, that, you know, on paper, we struggle just because of our position and where the size of our community to gain just the top tier, top flight people that you want walking in the door. I think where we found a lot of experience is focusing on the character hiring. I mean, we need to find that good base of experience, especially, you know, that knowledge and base is really important. But I think also identifying that high ceiling and those high-flying candidates that have that greatest potential doesn't always, in our experience, has come across better in person than on paper.
Yeah.
And for that reason, at the staff level, where we've had greater success in candidates is casting a broader net for the people that we brought in front of us, and that oftentimes some of the people that on paper didn't end up being the strongest really checked the boxes on the high ceiling and the character and did meet the base knowledge that we needed and have gone on to, you know, really become important members of the team. So it's just a little bit of context on what we've found in our experience in trying to work with a candidate pool where we felt very similar to what a lot of you are experiencing, and that, you know, it's hard to say what that, you might not identify that top tier in our experience from the.
Are you saying, so you're saying bring in 4?
Well, I mean, you guys draw the line where you feel is appropriate, but I think where our success has come in the past is people that actually were right on that fringe where we've said, I don't know if I'd bring that person or not, and then once we started checking the boxes for the intangibles, because we've also found that some of the people that have the most boxes checked on paper, you know, can quickly turn that switch off when they're in front of you in an interview. So just as trying to work through a candidate pool that presents like this, I think that was what we found worked best at the staff level. So I just wanted to provide that context, but it also kind of reinforces, in theory, why at the staff level we talk so much about trying to keep the team members that we have, because I believe we have a lot of high-flying team members in the city, and I believe that part of it's because they're great employees, and part of it is because we try to help build them with the team. And I think that regardless of the candidate picked here, I think this team is committed to making sure that we have a successful next city administrator as well. And I think everyone here is committed to making sure that we have the strongest team. I think our entire Corcoran team takes a lot of pride in who we are and what we represent as a community, and we wouldn't let any of the candidates fail. So, we want to let you know we're going to support who you guys go with, and just kind of wanted to offer that perspective of what we've seen trying to work through similar candidate pools in our process.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
So maybe we should just go with the 4 and see how that plays out in person? Everyone good with that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, that's what we'll do. 3, 4, 9, and 8.
Okay. One of the candidates would be 181 miles away. Otherwise, all the other candidates are very close.
Okay.
Totally up to you if you have any interest or not of any kind of a travel reimbursement or anything like that. I mean, it's 3 hours away, so it's not like you're coming in from Florida.
I'll say I have no interest in paying for travel for them,
Okay.
but that, I wouldn't expect that if I was a candidate for a job.
Yeah, I think generally I would agree. The only thing that maybe stands out is if 3 of them don't have any travel, does that, no, probably doesn't disadvantage them. If they want.
Maybe
the
if it
job.
was an international position and
Mhm.
3-hour drive is not.
Right. It's a doable thing. There's not much of an expense to that. I
Yeah,
guess.
we're not trying to attract an entry-level person, right, that doesn't have a pocket to pay for a tank of gas either, you know. I'm with you on, if we had somebody that came, applied from California, wouldn't, they chose to apply for it,
Yeah.
they could fly themselves in.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Not doing a,
Absolutely. Just wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
But every council is different.
sounds good, yeah, I
Absolutely.
think we'll not do that.
Okay. Alrighty. Then I guess.
Anything else?
I will get you a draft schedule.
Perfect.
Based on 4 candidates. I'll contact those right away of both groups, those that will be moving on and those that will not be moving on. And then they'll start working on the process. I would say just in whatever it's worth in regards to the deepness of the pool, I think we're finding this, I don't know if you see this or not in your industries, but we're sure seeing it in the city management, city manager arena in regards to how extremely competitive that pool is right now. And I would say overall very shallow in the sense of, to find that depth and experience, definitely I think for some, pay and location is a factor. So it becomes whatever your level is in regards to for tolerance on some of those factors. So,
May I ask you a question of the 12 that
yep.
came in? How many of those came from direct networking from yourself versus just applying to a web page?
I would say I talked to nine of them
9 of them were people that you approached?
that I approached. And I would say about all 9 of them were aware of the position.
Okay.
I probably talked to 54, 55 people on the phone, not counting those group of people. I would talk to assistants, I talked to folks that were in smaller communities, I talked to folks in greater Minnesota. The challenge of trying to find somebody with significant amount of experience in a larger city, most assistants are kind of at this pay range right now. And a lot of folks don't feel like it, that, especially in the metropolitan area, would be kind of a natural step sometimes if you're an assistant city manager, assistant city administrator, and you work your way up. That's one avenue of growth. The other avenue would be somebody in a smaller community that's working their way up. And there's also, you have folks that want to be in the metropolitan area that are in greater Minnesota. So, yeah, we kind of pounded the pavement in a sense, and this is what the market is right now in regards to what is out there. And it's, I know my colleagues and then other searchers we're doing, it's a very common theme that we're having right now. It's a very tough political environment out there for folks. It's also an environment of those folks that are at that assistant level. I think that maybe at one point in time there were a little bit more people moving forward. I think they're one step away from the fray in a sense, and the compensation can be very, very high in the metropolitan area at that deputy assistant administrative services director or whatever the title would be. For a lot of folks to try to get them then to move to that next level.
Okay.
I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, it does, so I'd assume 3 of the 4 are probably ones that you approached of our 4 then?
Yes.
Okay.
But once again, the ones that I did approach, it wasn't like were you aware of this position? Yeah, let me tell you a little bit more about it, that
Okay.
kind of a thing like that. So I don't know if I really had to.
So you didn't pull anybody that wasn't looking at all?
Yeah, I would say the ones that are looking, it's multiple sources to be looking at.
Yeah.
I had some folks that were kind of, well, let me think about it. A couple candidates I talked to like 4 or 5 times with just questions. One of the candidates had some questions about like fire services, and Matt was able to give me a great answer on that. Some just needed a little more information availability on
Okay.
things. So I would say those that are looking for a job, it doesn't take much to find what's out there with just everything that's out there. It's just a more question of, I think, one, everybody wants to be wanted, and to a certain, I think that's just a part of your society. I think like they're appreciated being asked, if they're think about applying or not. My main task was making sure they were aware of the position and if they had any questions, and then, use the profile as the base. But,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Just real quick, identified something for me then. We are looking at the wage that the window that we've got is an assistant administrator now wage, so to speak, and it's a stepping stone for them to move into a city administrator position on the low end. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, some could argue that. I mean, it's,
He's saying an assistant for a big town.
Yeah.
yeah. But
Ours
I-
is the equivalent thereof.
The goal, I think, if the goal was try to get somebody with a lot of experience, that's a challenge in a sense, in regards to.
At the money that we've got, the window that
Yeah.
we've got. Okay.
Absolutely. And it's just I'm not, and I hopefully you don't feel like I'm trying to, I mean, I'm just, it is
No,
what it is.
You're speaking fine for me.
Okay.
I mean, I think you gave us examples of other city postings, right? And we look competitive when you compare
I
the size
thought it
of the
was too,
structure of
yeah.
the city.
Yep. A couple of those had to repost again because they didn't get the applicants that they're looking for. There's numbers were really low in those communities too. Yes, we were doing one for City of Benson, and I think they had 9 people apply. That was a city manager job, which was an okay salary.
Well,
But
well,
yeah, well, I think the traditional means where we used to traditionally get folks through for the years, you know, Brad, I think if we want to use him as an example, New Brighton working Parks and Rec, goes to Winstead, kind of cuts his teeth, Winstead jumps up to here, then to Shoreview, it seems like what was kind of the natural progression, but to pull.
regression, his last job was a pretty significant regression, but
Mhm.
his new one, I mean, he had to take multiple steps backwards. but-
Peaked in Corcoran.
Yeah, once you've been the city admin in Corcoran, I don't know how you could possibly go up from there.
I think you guys see what we saw, that even though the other cities that are comparable in size aren't comparable geographically, that now our talent pool that we compete for is with the larger cities that, while we're competing for an administrator, we are competing for somebody who would be an assistant in the neighboring cities that are larger than us, which is, how do you thread that needle is that delicate spot that we're in as far as geographic comparisons. The people that are in this geographic region are looking for the different opportunities than what we offer yet.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Great point.
I think yet's the big question, right? Because we're kind of on the cusp of, are we growing slow, or are we gonna accelerate really fast? And some of that's gonna be outside of our control, so may not be long before they're in a big city, before they're into their career, if they stick around.
Yeah, Maple Grove had dirt roads not too long ago. Not that we want any of that.
Yeah, I'm sure Matt's seeing that exactly what your officer is, and I'm sure your public works folks are seeing it, and I'm assuming what all you folks do too. You're probably, I would assume you're seeing that also in that labor pool. We're sure seeing that in public administration. Maybe the market forces will change in 6 months, a year. I don't know if it'll get better or not. I'd love to be able to say it will, but I mean, it sounds extremely, I'm trying to not sound trite, like it kind of is what it is in the sense that that's what it is in regards to, that's what the pool is. In order to pull somebody out of something that potentially there's going well, I mean, that's the hard part too, is that people leave if they're going to be taken care of. There's a lot of folks that are very cemented in their positions. We have actually 2 live in your community that I talked to that were not interested, whatever, but they're very good, have a very good counsel, and they're very solid where they're at, and great staff, and it was just not enough to pull them, even though they're commuting from Corcoran into the Twin Cities, but they can be here at work in a couple minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else? Think we're good?
All right,
Anything else you wanted
thank
us
you
to
very
cover?
much for your time, appreciate it.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.